Welcome to the fourth session of the Gen6 Trust Academy. In the previous session, you have learned how to use the Gen6 app. In this session, I explain you the RealSeal IoT solutions in depth. If you want to know how the system works, if you want to become a blockchain administrator, this video is critical for you to understand. I introduce you now the concepts that are working behind RealSeal IoT. As an example, when you make a picture, the picture is actually the data, it's content. Once you have this data on your device, it can be your laptop, it can be your phone, this data can be easily manipulated without anyone knowing. The reason is for that because there is no immutable proof anywhere. Once you have the picture, once you have the data, the first thing Gen6 app is doing, it creates a hash of this data. The hash is a representation of the actual data. If you change one bit, any part of the data, then the hash result will also change. You can imagine hash as an algorithm that runs, checks the whole data, every bit of your pictures, generates an output. And this output that comes out of this hashing algorithm is the hash itself. Once you have this value, this is the value that you want to place on the blockchain. You want this value to be protected by the blockchain. So let's see how this works when you use RealSeal IoT. So you installed Gen6 app, you have your address, you have some GSX balances on your wallet. So now you click on upload in RealSeal and sign. Once you click, sometimes it's the shield icon, sometimes it's upload and sign, depends if you use mobile or browser. Once you do this, the hash will be generated by Gen6 app after, of course, taking the data. So the data is sent to Gen6 app, which is the front end, so it's not actually sent to any storage or anywhere on the internet, not even on the blockchain. But the hash is created. Gen6 app creates it. Once you have this hash, you have multiple ways to handle this, but the most simple one is that you use the data registry palette on the blockchain, and you don't need to worry about this. This is automatic, just explaining what is happening behind. So the data registry palette is called on the blockchain, and this is where your hash goes. This is where it becomes proven that a data exists and is not modified. Once this hash is on the blockchain, this cannot be modified. There is no way that you can delete or revoke or do anything with this hash. But the hash do not contain any part of the data. So where will the data go? Where do you store the data? First of all, you store the data yourself. You already have it on your device. The second, once this process is done, once the hash is created, once the hash got on the blockchain, then it is uploaded through the Gen6 app to the middleware. The middleware stores the data in a distributed system, so it exists in multiple places in the world. But this is not placing or giving the data to anyone else. So only you can access the data because you have it on your device. You can also access it through the middleware because the middleware can also access it, can store it, and no one else. And this is where the privacy controls come in. So the privacy controls are handled through the Gen6 middleware. Public, private, and community. These are the three privacy controls you have for identity and also for RealSeal. Some of the settings are being implemented on the RealSeal part, and also the encryption is being implemented. So if you are watching this video in 2026 May, then you need to know that the encryption part and a few of the privacy controls are not fully finished in Gen6 app, but very soon they will be. So what do you sign, what transaction do you sign when the hash is sent to the blockchain and the data is stored by the middleware? Because when you use the Gen6 app, you see that you need to sign something and you need to pay the GSX. So the transaction you are actually signing is sending the data hash to the blockchain. This is a transaction you sign. And you can also sign the file itself, which is more of a feature for documents and contracts. So you can send the hash to the blockchain and sign the hash to be stored on the blockchain, and using that you protect your file. If someone modifies it, if there is any change in the file, then you have the proof that this is not the original file, and you can use it as a proof in many ways and in many places. Maybe you just want to make a picture, make good memories, and you want to protect them. Maybe it's a legal case, you want to bring something to the court, and you want to make sure that you have a proof of a file, of a contract, a proof of a picture, a video, or maybe you are working in the news, maybe you are publishing data, maybe you're a politician or influencer. You want to make sure that your data, what you communicate, what you say, for example, this video as well, if you are watching it through the Gen6 app, then you can be sure that it's coming from me, it's not coming from anyone else. So you can always make sure that the data existed in a specific amount of time. So let's say if I sign today, 2026, May 26, then I sign on this day. You can make sure that this was existing without modification on that specific amount of time. And we also have the business integration, which is RealSeal IoT. So it's the same thing, but for businesses, the API is provided through a subscription fee, so businesses can sign up and integrate RealSeal into their systems. Use it very easily. If you are a business, you can find all the documentation on the wiki, and you can reach to us directly, and we help you. We give you an offer, and we even help you to integrate Gen6 RealSeal IoT into your business. And finally, once a file or a data is protected by the blockchain, you want to make sure that the owner is authentic, the owner is verified. All you need to do is to look at the address and the identity, check if it has the badge, then it means the Gen6 community verified. If it's human, organization, or a machine or AI. And this basically explains everything you need to know about RealSeal I and RealSeal itself. If you are looking for the blockchain administrator course, then please stay with us and follow this course. If you just wanted to understand more about depth of the systems, I hope you learned enough. If you have deeper questions about the code or want to get into development, feel free to reach us. We will be happy to help with our developer community. LFG6.